Okay, so one of the first issues we've identified is this whole area about let's not sell to everyone. One of the characters that comes to mind is known to a lot of people, Warren Buffett. I think he's currently back as the world's richest man. He owns a company called Berkshire Hathaway, which is his investment company. He basically turns more clients away than he takes on because he only takes on certain highly defined investment opportunities. He passes on all others, no matter how good the opportunity is. And what's more, he often passes them on to his competition. He has a specific formula for specific companies that he chooses to invest in and sends anything away, as I say, to his supposed competition. Let's apply this way of thinking, or the Warren Buffett way of thinking, to your business or the coaching market perhaps. A very successful coach I know works exclusively with dentists. Just dentists. Dentists practicing nothing else. Another chap we know focuses on managers in classic big companies, sometimes the owners of small companies. But that's it. He only does those two things. The message for you here is, who can your product or service provide the most or best benefits for? And or what type of people do you like or want to work with? You can see a formula developing. It's time to get specific and decide who your ideal customers are, which we may have a process that we can show you. Then it becomes easier for them to find you. So let's look at another particular phenomena around what we're calling stop selling to everyone. Before we move on, let's think about a business that most of us have dealt with at one point or another, namely accountants. The world is full of little general accountants that get by and, by the looks of it, make a living. But if you do a little local research, you'll find that the really successful accountants are nearly always very focused on a particular niche, or they market themselves into a particular niche. Let's look at one, for example, of being a tax specialist. And he specialises in companies with a turnover of £1 to £2 million. That will attract a customer who responds to that particular message. It's worth it. Pick a few industries that mainly have practitioner-type businesses, and you'll find the successful ones just about always specialise. On my challenge theme, find me just a lawyer. They're always a corporate lawyer, or a family lawyer, or a human rights lawyer. The other highly visible illustration of our need to stop selling to everyone that comes to mind is surgeons. Do they specialise? And have you ever heard of the brain surgeon who does quite a lot of knee surgery, actually? Sounds silly, doesn't it, when you really think it through? Top surgeons make a lot of money by specialising. And by the way, how many of you have had brain surgery in the last 1, 2, or even 5 years? Or even know somebody who had brain surgery? Personally, I can't think of any. So how come brain surgeons make hundreds of thousands of pounds per annum on what is a tiny market? It's easier to be a laser beam using small amounts of energy and focusing it than it is to be the sun generating huge amounts of energy and having to keep everybody warm. Laser beam into your niche or area of specialization. Now let's see if we can illustrate some of the themes or some of the areas that the Simple Plan is trying to lead you towards by way of the character that some of you have heard before, the lady that we work with called Loretta. Here's one of the first things the Simple Plan is leading you to work on. We're suggesting that you look at a specific group or target market for your clients and be very good at what you do with that group. So, what did Loretta do? She stopped, there's our word again, trying to be a coach for everyone and yabbering on about limiting beliefs or something, and started focusing on working with teenagers. Referrals happen more easily, so says the Simple Plan. So let's see what Loretta did. Once she started to focus on teenagers and then started speaking to parents as their core receptive market, they referred her to schools, head teachers, even a group that worked with gifted children who struggled in the education system. Fairly specific, wouldn't you agree? The Simple Plan gets you thinking about how to find your market niche, and things like affinity groups is another area. So let's use our Loretta example. She wasn't exactly the shining light from her time at school. pretty much anything you weren't meant to do. She had the t-shirt. Result: she has a bit of a passion and an agenda for helping young people cope with and hopefully thrive during her school years, or their school years. She found her niche largely by following her passion and something she had direct experience of. Suddenly those accountants, and that's just an example of the kind of people that would be in some of our networking groups, suddenly those same people that had been sitting listening to her with their arms folded and largely previously ignored her, started talking to her and referring her to all kinds of people. Loretta could speak very comfortably about her passion with passion, and that's often the first thing that people sort of understand, is that you're so enthusiastic about what it is you're talking about. She also had the voice of experience. Suddenly, she was an expert, and people wanted to talk to her about it. When we speak and work with people like Reiki practitioners, often they're so passionate about their healing power of Reiki, or the healing power of Reiki, if they're not careful, it can start to sound almost a bit like witchcraft to the person who's never heard of Reiki. Again, whether it's Reiki or reflexology, and all the therapies have their value, the key is communicating the benefits of what it does to the right people. Suddenly, we're seeing reflexologists working with football teams because the particular lady I'm thinking about began focusing on reflexology's benefits in relation to sport and how it helped with injuries and the likes. That's a great niche. She liked sport. She was a sports person herself. She was very good at her reflexology. Now, in this particular case, she happens to be working with the football team I do some work with. Just by deciding for your Reiki practice or whatever it happens to be, I want to work with people who earn a minimum of £50,000 and live within 20 miles of where you happen to live. And I'm saying it in that way to make a point. Just by doing that will have begun the process of you creating your niche. It also forces other things to happen. By saying a minimum £50,000 type of earners, the chances are you're then stating you'll be working with professionals. Well, what jobs do these people have? Where do they live? See the focus of your marketing starting to appear, and how you're not just chasing everybody, you're stopping the selling to everybody. So finally, back to the simple plan, which is a no-selling business development system anyway. It's reinforcing that message by adding in stop selling to everyone. Once you choose a niche, no one can fill that exact same niche. And the people who want you can start to find you because you stand for something. Isn't there an old line out there about if you don't stand for something, you fall for everything? Let's get as specific as a brain surgeon, and you can achieve 2 great motivators for the price of 1. Firstly, you will be earning considerably more money, which is very nice. But often for people like practitioners and coaches and therapists, the money's important, but so is the number 2 benefit or motivator, which is mastery. You'll now be working with people that you've identified can really benefit from what you do and how you do it, which means you'll be creating your masterpiece, which in turn means your work then reaches more people. Oddly, by you focusing initially on fewer people. Money and mastery. By you doing your own Warren Buffett or focusing on your brain surgeon position. That's why we're absolutely encouraging in the simple plan to stop selling to everyone. Okay, so that's it for part 1. In part 2, I'm going to show you how you can identify your ideal customer/client and use a simple technique that will have them running to your door anytime they need your service. All I need you to do next is let 3 other people know about the simple plan by just filling in their names and email addresses below. Then just click submit and I'll see you on the other side for the Stop Selling video part 2. So go ahead and fill the form in now and I'll see you in a second. Trust me, you won't want to miss the next video.